Welcome to Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And we are part 2.
With Donna.
You know what? She was just so much fun. We just kept going.
You're like, wait a minute.
Sign up for this.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you never know what you sign up for when you bring us along.
Every time we don't know what we sign up for.
True.
But, all right, so let's jump right into our highs and lows.
Yep, I'm just gonna share a high.
Okay.
So, and I knew you were gonna go to me because that's our
I
pattern.
love it.
So, my high is that our oldest son, Race, is this year. He became a official Ozark athlete. He's done football, he's done basketball, and now he's in track season, which happens to be a love of my husband's, who's been a track coach for years. And they had their first official meet. Like, they've had some duels, and our son, who, if you've ever seen me, I am not a tall woman, and my husband's decent size. He's like 5'11" or something. But so our kids are probably not going to be giants, right? But our son, Race, yes, we know his name is Race, and he is a track athlete right now.
He's meant to go a long way.
We told him from birth. I was like, kid, you've got to be fast
That's
if we're naming
right.
this. But he got first place
Wow.
in the 100 hurdles in his first official meet. And
That is awesome.
I mentioned his height because hurdlers are long-legged, and he is not.
I was going to say he's not.
But he can get over that hurdle, and then he is very quick and fast and gets between the middle places. That's his jam. And so I was just really proud of him and his 4x100 team and 4x200 team relays. They both also got first.
Wow.
So it's just really fun seeing him compete individually. It's like the first individual sport in some ways, but then also having that team aspect. It's just been neat. And we've worked the track meet, so we get to be down there with the kids, and I've enjoyed that too, just seeing my former students and getting to chat with them. I had one of mine, one of the duels, he's in JROTC, and he's part of that nationally ranked or championship group that does I want to call it a routine. I guess maybe that's what it, but a huge long routine. And I saw him and I was like, oh my goodness, I saw you at the basketball game and you guys are rock stars. And he was lit up. He's like a junior. And, but it's just neat seeing those connections still. And then also getting just to celebrate my own kid and his team. It's just been fun. So it's been a high.
My high this week is we do family meetings. And what that means at my school that we separate.
Bring in Robin's mom.
Yes. I bring my family and we spend the whole day at school together.
Yes.
But each child is assigned a family. There's 4 families at our school. And you're there through your kindergarten all the way to 4th. You start in kindergarten in a family and you stay there the whole time, and they stay together. We meet once a month to go over a portrait of graduate, a word of the month, and we just celebrate each other. And we do with these positive notes. And teachers write positive notes, and then they come up and we read the thing. And I work with a kid that really struggles and has a lot of negativity talk in him a lot and stuff. And he's in my family meeting, and he got a positive note, and they were reading it to him. He stands at the front, and they were reading what he said, and the smile on his face, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, you don't know very often will he have someone compliment him, because he is very negative often. That excitement and the being proud and confident. And I was like, man, that's why we do what we do. And he will always remember that. And so that was just an awesome feeling for me. So that was my high.
Well, let's see. My high was the fact that we had a 4-day weekend.
I know. I almost did that too.
Yeah, this was I was like, oh, I don't have to drive tomorrow.
I know.
Monday. Because they kind of teased. They said, you have Friday and Monday off. And I'm like, oh, great. I was like, oh, wait.
Everybody
does.
Right.
So, anyway, but that was a high. Because I was like, I don't have to worry about it.
I know.
It's awesome to have that, in between the winter and
yes.
Yes, we had spring break, but the end of the year is always a tough time.
I know. I actually told Maddie that too. I was like, this week has been hectic, and I've been gone 2 days, and I interviewed one day, and I was like, we have to, and she's like, we don't have school, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. It was a little gift.
So a few reminders.
Yes.
We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. There's still great videos out there on all of those places. I'm now transferring, by the way, our videos onto Reels on Facebook and on Instagram.
Look at you.
So I may even have to catch up on some of our stuff we had in TikTok. I mean, I don't know that everybody's seen that spider on your face.
I prefer they don't.
That snake in the hallway. So I may have to start getting some of those transferred. Yeah, I mean, because we don't know how long TikTok's really going to last at this point anyway. So
I think we better transfer quickly.
Better get those over. Better get them over. So check us out on all those places and make sure that you like and follow us on all of those things, but rate us. And we are also, if you want to see those faces,
you know where to find us.
YouTube. So what do you wish people knew? We've addressed some of those things.
Yeah, I just think I wish people knew that people, let's just face it, people do jobs for the pay. This isn't necessarily a high paying job, so they have to understand that when people come to drive a bus, there's also something in their heart.
Yes. Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah.
So just knowing that just because a person comes in and applies to drive a bus and we can train them doesn't mean they're going to get hired.
Yeah.
And we've seen it, we've had people come in and you're like, I don't think you're a good fit.
Yeah.
In your mind, you're saying, you don't tell them that.
Thank you for coming in. We don't like you.
We'll call you.
I don't feel good. If you don't hear from us, don't call us.
We'll call you.
Yeah. But I just wish people knew that when they see a bus, that is somebody's kid.
Yeah.
Could be your grandchild.
Yeah.
It could be a niece, nephew, whatever. But give them some grace.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
Yeah.
Don't cut them off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to stop a full load of kids,
Yeah.
And yes, sometimes a driver will maybe, do something wrong. Maybe
we're humans, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
cut across the lane, forget the blinker. Well, it's probably, checking on a kid.
Yeah.
Knows you got to go that way, but So I just wish people would just give them some grace, especially now in our area. We're growing so much.
I know.
People are coming in from all over the country.
Yeah.
And I think the expectation is for buses to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And which, that is our expectation.
Yeah, 100%.
Even there at the
Do
bus
what we
garage,
can.
we
Yeah.
expect them to do it right the first time.
Yeah.
And that's all of our training. Do
Yeah.
it right the first time. It costs too much not to.
No. Yeah.
But in the process, it would just be nice if people could just be kind.
Yeah. And appreciate.
That's
I
what
think
I
that's part of the thing is like a bus is picking up your kids, so you don't have to drive them and pick them up. Like just appreciation of how hard it is. And listen, when I was on that bus, it was an hour route, an hour. We went through windy roads. I mean, I took my family through and I was like, I'm going to take you the route I go. And I was like, I didn't even want to do it in a car. And I'm like, it is a hard job.
Yeah.
And it's a long time and it's loud and there's a lot of things. And it's kind of, no one's grateful. Like, no one says, very seldom except maybe Bus Appreciation Month. But hey, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. It's kind of the thankless job that you're responsible for 50 to 75 kids that you're in their care, and on rainy days, on snowy days, icy days when things, and I'll never forget even one time it was raining so hard, and I'm not even a worrier, but my heart was starting to think like, man, I'm nervous to get on this bus because our roads are windy and stuff. And that bus driver was so calm. He didn't think anything of it. Yeah. And I was nervous, but like they're in charge of kids and their safety, and it's a stressful job. Yeah. And I think it's sad that, and I honestly, I did not appreciate it till I started doing that. And I had a whole nother respect for bus drivers because I did not realize how hard and difficult and the responsibility it really. You just put them on the bus, you think, oh, no big deal, and you didn't think a second thing of it.
Driving around is different than driving a field trip.
Yes, yeah. I know, and I mean it really is. It makes a big difference. So now we just want you to share some fun stories, crazy stories, great stories, some fun stories.
Let's see, some fun stories.
It could be,
any story that was worth it.
The ones that pop into your mind.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, again, I was talking to one of the drivers this morning and we were talking. I think I told you guys earlier. I said some of them I don't know that people would appreciate, but we think are hilarious because honestly, we made it through it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was in the process. But no, I tell you, well, one that just happened this week that I'm just like, oh my. So I'm driving a substitute route.
Mhm.
And I've had these kids 2 or 3 days now. Anyway, this little boy, I'm standing up when we get to the school. I'm standing up and I'm talking to him, you know, and because it's a big weekend. And this little boy he's standing there. He's like first grade, and he grabs my lanyard. And I have my school ID on one side, and I have my OC pass on the other. And he takes it, and he flips it, and he flips it back over. He flips it back over, and he looks at me, he flips it back over. He said, so, because my ID is when I had brown hair. And he says, so this is when you were an adult, and this is when you're a grandma? It's like, dude, you just made my day.
The things they say though, right? You're
I
like,
was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was really observant, you know.
You're like, thank you. Get on in the class. Go
come on now.
I'm not even a grandma yet. I'm just great.
Thanks
I
a lot,
appreciate
buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Maybe wishful thinking for you. He's like trying to help you out that far. Yeah.
But
That's funny.
you know, field trips are always interesting. You know, we used to take I think it was 4th grade. We would take them up to the Capitol.
Oh.
And so they'd have a day on the Capitol, you know, and,
Yeah.
and you're trying to park buses on
Yes.
the Capitol. It's crazy. Well, we had some new buses, and they had the latch in the back. So if it got latched, the bus wouldn't start.
Oh.
Well, some of us didn't know, you know,
Oh,
they're new. We had
Yeah.
the ones that didn't even have a lock.
Yeah.
You know, you just shut the door and went.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there was a bunch of us up there, and we didn't. I mean, this bus, she got in it. She was going to go pick it. Kids wouldn't start.
Oh,
Could
no.
not figure it out. 30 minutes. We're doing everything to this bus, and they're all waiting on us.
Oh.
You know, I could just see the teachers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, okay, so, and not all of us had cell phones.
Oh, no.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how are we going to do this? So finally, we got somebody, I don't even remember who it was, but called the bus garage, and they were like, did you check this? Did you check this? Yes, yes, yes. Did you check the latch at the back door? I'm like, there's a latch at the back door. Okay. So we go back there, and you're like, oh, one of the kids had locked it before they got off the bus. Anyway, so it wouldn't start. Because you have to have that free and clear in case of evacuation.
Oh.
So the bus would not start.
Safety.
Safety is number one.
Safety.
But it only took us about 40 minutes to figure out that safety feature.
Oh my God.
And I don't think any of us really ever forgot that.
Word spread quickly.
Yes,
Check that latch in the
yes,
bag.
yeah, so that was a tough one. We got the kids, we get them home. But on one of those trips from Jeff City, this is just kind of going along with that, one of the drivers, they got off on Lebanon on
Mhm.
I-44 coming home, and there was a couple of deer in the road,
Oh no.
in the highway.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And
Fourth
it
graders.
was going straight down the highway. And the driver was just like, hide the kids' face. And she
Oh,
just
no.
over the deer. Just went right over the deer.
Oh, no.
Because I couldn't hit the
No,
brakes.
you could
No.
swerve.
Couldn't swerve.
No.
No.
So the deer just was stupid and wouldn't get off the road. And it
Oh,
was, you know, I mean, we're
Kids went home that night and they're like, how was your field trip?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Bambi was in the middle of the road. And
So some stories are true.
Yeah.
And they come home.
Oh.
But anyway.
yeah, but you
yeah.
I mean, again,
Yeah.
you can't avoid that.
No.
Your latch story reminded me of one time when I was riding the bus as a kid, and those latches, like, well, I don't know if it's but those red ones,
Oh, yeah.
the high schoolers set in the back, and here I was like, I don't know, elementary, and I didn't ride the bus that often, but we're down on dirt road,
Right.
all this stuff, and all of a sudden you hear the alarm going off, and one of those high school kids had pulled that up.
Oh, yeah.
Which again, we're on the gravel road. Our bus driver, Miss Patty, Miss Patty pulled that bus to the side, and she let those high school kids have it. And I was like, Miss Patty, you get them, Miss Patty. It was going off, and she's like,
once.
Oh my god.
But yeah, but and some of the other stories that you get as a bus driver, like I'll never forget this. There was this one family that mom, whatever was going on in the house, the kids were always kind of running out late. I knew. When I pull up there, I knew.
Yeah.
And the one little one, she would be coming out and she'd have a piece of toast or she'd have something, Anyway, she would come out and her hair was just whoosh, And so anyway, her older sister was like, I'm not doing it, whatever. And I was like, what? You're not doing? She had a hairbrush and she had a little tie, And I was like, well, that poor baby, I can't let her go to school with her hair looking like that.
I know.
So I just put my flashers on and I sat there and I brushed her hair, and pulled it back in a ponytail. And anyway, she was like, thank you. Well, then she came out every morning with a hairbrush. So I had my little salon right there.
She's like, oh.
But, I mean, they depend on you.
Yeah.
And that is, those are the kind of things you remember.
Yeah.
So it's
roles, it's good, and you kind of get attached to some more than others, but you probably like in the classroom. You've got some that just pull your heartstrings.
Has special place in your heart.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. And then you get kids, now that I'm retired, I mean, I'll go into Bullseye over here and somebody will walk up and say, hey, Donna, how you doing? I'm like, oh,
I know.
I'm fine. How are you? What's your name?
Yeah, I know.
When did I drive you? Where did you live?
Give me your address.
I know. But it's so hard.
They do change so much, though. I ran into a kid this week, and they're like, hey, Mrs. Weedle. And I looked, and thank goodness, actually, she's a senior this year, so I had just gotten an update from her mom about where she's going and stuff. But I looked at her and I thought, oh my gosh, like you look like a woman.
Yeah.
Right? And then my boys, they now have facial hair. Like their parents send me their senior pictures and I'm like, that's a man. Like that is not my little fifth grader I had. Like you are a dude.
Yeah.
You could look as old as me.
Like, because I had him in first grade. I know I saw him all the way to fourth, but like I hardly recognized so many times. And what's so hard also is they know you, but you may not have had them. So you're like, do I know you because I actually had you? Or you just know me from school and you're like, please give me your name. Please help me. Even a name doesn't help. I know, that's okay. Even a name's not always great anymore. I'm like,
So I say hun and
yes. How are you doing? Yes. Well, my favorite bus story when I was a kid, I never rode the bus. My mom, we didn't, because we lived in Springfield and you had to be 3 miles away.
You had to walk if you were closer than 3.
You did.
Really?
No, really. You couldn't. Your parents had to bring you to walk. Yes, that's your butt. And we lived pretty close. So, I mean, we lived, like, my parents would not let me walk. I was far enough away that they would not have let me walk to school. But I rode, finally in junior high, I think, I rode the bus. And I was driving, and all of a sudden I felt someone hit my head like this. And the guy before me had caught my hair on fire. He had done a lighter, and it scorched the back. And I reached back there, and a chunk of hair. No. I think my mom took me to school from after that, but it was an awful memory. So you know what? It smelled horrible. That burn smell. In junior high, I was like, and I'll never forget that. Like it was yesterday. But I didn't write them. I don't remember his name. Oh. I'm sure he's in jail by now.
Things like that. Kind of a hint of how life is going to go.
Got a lighter, set my hair on fire. I've never heard that.
Oh, yes, it was awful.
Wow.
So,
oh, man. Well, and I think being Bus Driver Appreciation Month and stuff too. I didn't ride the bus very often, but Miss Patty, I loved her. And she was still, she actually she hemmed and did my prom dressers. She did my Letterman jacket. Like she was a lady of all sorts. And then, but I was an athlete. And so we had, Roy took us everywhere, my softball games, my basketball games, and just all the great memories. Like when I would go back, and as much as I loved my different teachers, like Roy was a guy that was there at some of the most difficult and challenging times. Yeah. And also there was some of the highest points in my like high school times. Yeah. And so when I'd go back to school and visit Skyline, I would, as soon as I'd see Mr. Roy, just run up there and give him hugs. And, I think that's, as much as we don't always appreciate like we should, I think that when we look back in our memories and we really think about it, there's so many great people that have inspired us in different ways in the bus driving role, but also just been there. Like I said, I mean, my coach was ticked off at us. Roy was still going to be smiling at us, when we got on that bus.
It'll be better next time.
Yeah. And I still think of him a lot too, because he used to say if you win the first quarter and you win the third quarter, you're going to win that game. And we would look at our stats, and I was like, we did win that quarter, and we did win that quarter, or we lost that quarter. You're right, we lost the game. And I was like, Roy is an intelligent man.
He should be a coach.
I know. I'm pretty sure he was helping Kevin out, our coach.
A cheap and assistant coach.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I love that. And I think just like you said, all those different roles that they really fill is pretty amazing.
Speaking of different roles, I have one more little bus story. When my first job was in Granby, and it's a small country school, and I was having Abby. I was pregnant, and I went in to deliver her, and I was ready to deliver in the bed, and the nurse comes in, and you're all not in your finest because you're ready to have this baby, and she looks over, she's like, "You look so familiar," and I was like, I'm in this hand. She's like, "Where do you live?" She's like, "I'm a bus driver," and she was a nurse and a bus driver. I was like, "Well, you're seeing me in a whole new light." I was like, "When I see you in 6 weeks, this is going to be very awkward for you and me." But I mean, I think they do carry so many different roles, and it is. And here she was, a registered nurse, but they needed her, and she could be with her family and stuff. So, I mean, I do appreciate bus drivers, and honestly, if you have a chance to ride a bus, I challenge you to do it, because it did make a huge, and I will tell you, the connections they make, like when I rode that bus last year, gave me a chance to say, "Hey, what was the best part of your day?" And that's kind of what yours, like when you come in the morning and you say, "Hey," or after, "How was your day?" Sometimes that's the only person that ever asked them, besides a teacher.
Yeah.
The last time they get off the bus for someone, and I know even my bus driver was that way too, we don't realize what an impact those bus drivers have on our kids to start their day, that ends their day. That's also keeping their eye out on situations. Because, as teachers, we don't always know what their homes look like, what's going on. Like you said, that runs out of the room, out of the house last minute, or if it's been come out crying and stuff. They see a lot of things that we don't see. And they go home realizing, sometimes we don't realize, you see where they came from and the things they're going through. And I just think there's a huge appreciation for our bus drivers. So
absolutely.
Well, there's one more I was just going to mention, that sometimes we talk about the kids, getting on the bus and they're crying, and especially the new ones, the little ones.
Yes.
They're just crying. They don't want to leave mama, But the hardest part is, we all drivers, we know that within a minute or two of getting them on the bus and shutting the door, there's no more tears.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you're leaving mama in the driveway,
just crying
her
all day.
I'm like, "It'll be okay. We're fine. He's fine. You're going to be fine.
You are going to be fine.
Go home, put your feet up."
Yeah.
He's actually going to be better than you, honestly.
I think, it's hard for these younger parents, or parents, period, to hand their child off to somebody they don't really know.
No.
Yeah.
All they know is, they've gone through a background check for the school, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just, for the parents to get to know the driver of your kids, do something, try to, exchange, text messages, or, whatever. Just if you're uncomfortable, just get to know the driver, and it'll help help everybody.
So they become a real person instead of just the one that drives by or
And I also love what you said earlier, because I think sometimes we didn't realize, and I didn't even realize this, that also your school system is not just hiring anybody that applies. And I love that you said that they can go through the training and they can say, but you're like, "Hey, that's not the fit for what we want." And so even though we say we need drivers, they're not just hiring anybody just to fill an empty seat. They feel like that job is so important. They're going to make sure the right person is for that. So that should be comforting to parents, that we're not just picking anybody that just signs up and say, "Yeah, I need you as a driver." We might have people that have to come back from retirement to drive, because right now they haven't found that person
Yeah.
that is great. And I think that's a great
Yeah.
reminder for parents that are nervous too.
Yeah.
So
All right, some reminders as Robin's getting our challenge and stuff together. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest. And if you want to see our faces, YouTube.
Or just stick with the podcast.
Or stick with the podcast, whatever. So we appreciate our listeners, and remember to whatever podcast platform or whatever social media place that you check us out, make sure that you're commenting, you're rating. All right.
All right. I'm going to go with Proverbs 4:23 today, and it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And I this just hit me this week. I had a situation that something was said and it was kind of hurt my feelings. And I had to really sit back and really take some time and pray about it and make sure before I went to that person that I wasn't being emotional, or I did not let my anger flow out of my heart, because it was a friend and it was just a misunderstanding. And when I think it's so important that we guard our heart of bitterness and anger and being upset at things, because if we let it fester inside of us, that's what comes out, and the hatefulness comes out, and the mean, and being, angry. And so I think it's just a great reminder, because it was a reminder to me, is just sometimes to step back and stop and let things process. And I let someone else read the thing as like, okay, am I wrong in my feelings? Do I need to say something? And they're like, yes, you should say something. And I even said, I think I'm going to say so. I told one friend, I think I'm going to say something in a joke. And they said, Robin, they make it as a joke because you're upset about it.
Yeah.
And this is a friend. And so I went, and this person felt horrible. It was it came across, and she's like, I am so sorry. But sometimes it's important to do those things, but you want to make sure you guard your heart. And that's why I said to her, I was like, I felt like I needed to say something, because I didn't want bitterness and anger ruin our friendship for something I knew was probably not what you intended. It's just the way it came across to a group. And so I think it's just a good reminder on that.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe that can be the challenge for the week is, as we're talking about our bus drivers and transportation and stuff. One, check yourselves before you say things, right? I mean, especially posting on social media and all those things. But I would like just for us to continue our challenge from last week. If you haven't had that opportunity to address your kids and have them writing the notes and the kindness, because also that, like, wanting that to flow from our hearts is important, and showing appreciation. And so make those cards if you haven't done it yet. Send those emails. And just show appreciation to our transportation.
And don't make it just a one-time thing. I think that sometimes we spotlight people, which I think is awesome. Yeah. But honestly, in your calendar, even once a week, put it like on the 4th Friday of the month or something that you recognize bus drivers, and on the 3rd Friday that we talk about recognizing like our paraprofessionals and all those things. But don't make it just a once a year. Yeah. Get in a frame of mind that that's what's in your heart to do.
Maybe think about when your kids are going on a field trip.
Yes.
Or your kids going to a sporting event.
Yes.
Send some extra snacks for the bus driver or something like that, because that's easy enough to do. Yeah. And like I said, that's just a little bit of appreciation goes so far. Really,
100%. 100%. So, well, listen, we hope you have an amazing week.
And thank you, Donna.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun.
All right.
All right, this is Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And have an amazing week.